We start here at noon with a big update on that tsunami alert that we've been following since yesterday afternoon. Officials just canceled the tsunami advisory for most of the West Coast. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm China Green. That notice came down just about an hour and a half ago. Experts say at this time there is no tsunami threat to the coast. In fact, fears of damaging waves are fading for much of the Pacific after a massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake near Russia. The tsunami advisory remains in effect, though, for parts of California and Hawaii. So here's a live look at Waikiki Beach in Hawaii. The water there has receded, but the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center says strong currents could still be dangerous. And look at the scene from Maui, where tourists and locals slept in their cars overnight after evacuating to higher ground. This video was taken just after sunset, as people looked up toward the water for any sign of the tsunami waves. And we have team coverage this afternoon. Rod Hill is standing by in the KGW Weather Center. But first, let's get to Thomas Schultz, who joins us live from Seaside. So, Thomas, what's the latest out there?
Yeah, well, China, certainly many people are relieved that advisory has now been lifted. But many we spoke to this morning, whether they live here or are visiting, didn't know what to expect.
It's just my first experience in my life hearing about tsunami.
All morning long, people in Seaside like Alexandra Parfanova have kept close tabs on the ocean.
So I was kind of anxious.
As a tsunami advisory was in effect overnight into late Wednesday morning. It was lifted just before 10:30.
Now my friend, she packed her backpack just in case she should run somewhere.
In Seaside, the advisory was announced around the same time many lost power Tuesday evening.
We weren't sure if it'd be safe to drive out.
Probably concerning that both happened at the same time.
Yes. We're like, are they related? Should we be concerned?
Seaside officials say the outage was not related to the tsunami advisory. Still, it put many on edge.
And we did see a couple people leaving the hotel as well.
Oh yeah, that was concerning.
And so we're like,
sure.
Does that mean it's bad?
Like leaving, packing. Jack Baxter and Katie Carter are visiting Seaside from California. They checked in with their hotel to see if it was safe to stick around. And experts say it's important to locate higher ground.
If you feel the ground shaking, that means it's a near tsunami. That's a near earthquake, and you need to leave immediately.
Jenna Tilt is an associate professor at Oregon State. She says while this never escalated past the tsunami advisory, alerts can change quickly, making it important to follow credible information.
Your friend on Facebook or, whatever, they might have a good information, but you definitely want to verify.
Tilt says a good source is city or county emergency management pages. In Seaside, those officials, like Assistant City Manager John Rail, kept a close eye on this advisory.
These are always good reminders for the fact that bigger events can happen.
Reminders that even though the water looks calm, it can be dangerous.
It's kind of that surge in the water that can be most impactful. You don't necessarily see it, but more feel it and kind of the power behind it.
We were thinking about wave jumping yesterday. And
we're glad we didn't.
We're like, we'll probably not do that for the rest of the trip.
Yeah, something a lot of people are avoiding today and yesterday, right? Now, even with that advisory lifted, lifeguards and beach rescue firefighters behind us are monitoring the situation and just continuing to watch those waters to make sure anybody in them is being safe. China?
Our Thomas Schultz reporting live from Seaside. Thank you, Thomas. All right, we were headed over to Rod Hill. Rod, you have been tracking this all day. The advisory here has been lifted, but you are keeping tabs on an area that's not.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, this was around 10:30 or so roughly this morning that the tsunami advisory for all of the Oregon coast, all of the Washington coast, canceled by the Weather Service. Now, this is Crescent City in Northern California, and this was an area that earlier this morning was actually under tsunami warning. That has been downgraded to a tsunami advisory. It's the only spot literally on the west coast of the U.S. that still has a tsunami advisory in play. Now, this is a spot that earlier this morning recorded sea water heights coming up about 4 feet above normal that were attributed, that rise, to the tsunami conditions. And as we talked about our local area this morning, no word on how long this will be in effect along that portion of the Northern California coast before that gets canceled. All right, our live cameras, the news is good, right? Snoqualmie Casino Resort, 63 degrees, looking for some partial clearing this afternoon. The buoy reports have been really consistent today, 2 to 3 feet It's important to note that this is what the marine forecast has been calling for today. This is not tsunami connected at all. It's simply a 2 to 3 foot wave height forecast in the marine projections, which is just a normal day, right? Our coast forecast, by the way, in the 60s of partial clearing this afternoon. Pacific City could get up to about 68 degrees. Portland at high noon, we're 74 degrees, pretty similar to where we were 24 hours ago. We might make it all the way back to 90 today. We'll have that complete forecast and track the thunderstorm threat in Central Oregon. That's coming up a little bit later in the show.
All right, thank you, Rod. New at noon, the Federal Reserve is leaving its key interest rate unchanged, a widely expected move that comes despite enormous pressure from the Trump administration to lower it. In a statement announcing the decision, the Fed said that economic growth had moderated in the first half of the year, but that inflation remains somewhat elevated. Two Federal Reserve officials, both appointed by President Trump, dissented from the decision, something that has not happened in more than 3 decades. Experts say the dissents are a sign of both economic uncertainty and political pressure on the central bank.
Hey there. I stopped you going a little fast. You didn't realize this is 35?
Oh, it's 35?
It is.
So we have new video from police. Brian Koberger taken during a traffic stop just months before he murdered 4 University of Idaho students. In the video, a sheriff's deputy pulls Koberger over for speeding in August of 2022, just 3 months before those murders, and just 1.5 miles from the King Road house in Idaho. He tells the deputy that he didn't realize that he was speeding, and he wants to be truthful.
Were you wearing your seatbelt when I stopped you? No. That's no good.
Right. Just being honest with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You guys are... There's absolutely no point in not being honest.
Yeah.
You have a radar.
So this is the 4th recorded traffic stop of Koberger around the time of the murders. Last week, an Idaho judge sentenced Koberger to 4 consecutive life sentences. And other local headlines, evacuation notices have been lifted near a Wilco farm store near Highway 99W in McMinnville after a car crash ignited a propane tank yesterday afternoon. Police say it impacted rush hour traffic starting around 4 o'clock on 99W, Lafayette Avenue, Grand Haven Avenue Drive, and the surrounding area. McMinnville Water and Light shut off power to customers behind that Wilco and asked people to avoid the area. Crews worked overnight to do a controlled release of the propane. We expect to get more information on this from police later today. A trial is underway for a driver involved in a car crash that killed an 11-year-old in southeast Portland more than 2 years ago. The defendant, Dupree Smith, is accused of running a red light at more than 80 miles per hour. He says that he was rushing because he'd been shot while attending a funeral and was trying to get to the hospital. Smith is also accused of driving under the influence. He pleaded not guilty to the charges. Ryan Ambrose, the 11-year-old who was killed in the crash, was in Portland visiting family. Police are investigating a bias crime at a Northeast Portland business. Officers say that on June 14th, in the middle of the night, this man right here approached the entrance of the business on Northeast Broadway, muttered profanities, and then drew a swastika on the door frame. The business believes that they were specifically targeted. Police released these surveillance photos and are asking for tips that might help track the man down. Meantime, a Forest Grove man says that his neighbor helped save his life during an apartment fire. It happened on A Street last Friday night. Victor Campuzano was asleep when the fire started and was woken up by his smoke alarm. Now, when he realized that he wasn't able to get out from the front or back of his apartment, he heard his neighbor calling for him.
He walked over to the shed where there's a ladder standing up, and he ran over and grabbed it, put it over the trucks, and tried to push it as high as he could, but
Campuzano was able to jump out just in time. One of the neighbors, however, died. Their name hasn't been released, and investigators don't know what caused the fire yet. Portland police are asking for help identifying arson suspects. They say several fires have been set near Irving Park, one on July 20th and another last Sunday. The damage includes a shed, a utility trailer, a garage door, a vehicle, and dumpsters, among other things. Luckily, no one was hurt here. But if you live in the area, police are asking for any save video from your security system between July 20th and July 27th and on those days. So if you can find links to upload on Portland Police's website, you can find that under press releases. Oregon is joining more than 20 other states in a lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's efforts to defund Planned Parenthood clinics. This news comes after the president signed a spending bill that prohibits Medicaid payments at health care centers that provide abortions. A federal judge recently blocked the Trump administration from enforcing this measure. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield says he'll still pursue a lawsuit. In a statement, Rayfield said, quote, Planned Parenthood is where thousands of Oregonians go for cancer screenings, contraception, and basic medical care. Pulling Medicaid funding doesn't make that need disappear. It just makes it harder for people to stay healthy.